On track now, the 51 of Jeremy Clements.
Hey, you hear those people talking about the raindrops, and Ray didn't get down in turn 3 now. What do you do, Dale, when you see those raindrops?
That's
on
the worst
windshield?
thing. I mean, a fast racetrack like this is, and we heard Joe Nemechek talking about you almost running wide open, so to stay committed is pretty difficult when you see those raindrops hitting your windshield.
Well, it looks like Jeremy Clements pretty committed here. He's tracking second so far. Got a really good lap going.
He's about a 1/10 of a second off. He's diving down low, trying to cut some of that distance off, and he does slot into the number 2 position. 31.38 seconds, but that's still 1300ths off of Joe Nemechek's lap.
Yeah, they do a really good job down there. Ricky Pearson's a crew chief on this car. I talked to him last night. You know, they don't have the budgets that these other big teams have, so they can't really put tires on their car in practice as much as other teams, and you know, they really do it on a limited budget. They got a little help from Gerber. It's a collision center and glass center here in Chicago this week, so that should help them a little.
And now the number 10 Great Clips entry for Boise, Idaho's Brian Scott. Made his debut at Nashville, started 24th, finished 25th. He has 2 truck races here, though.
He was 21st fastest in practice. Mike ran a 27.94. So off of that, almost a 1/10 of a second off of that. We'll see if he can pick up on lap 2. Good opportunity for Brian in this 10 car. Pretty good race car for him.
And this looks like a great lap.
Oh, he got loose, Mike.
Oh, was a great lap.
It was a great lap. Just trying to get that extra little bit, Mike. We've seen 3 or 4 drivers do it.
Had a good lap going until 3 and 4 second lap. It got loose in the center when I tried to get back on the gas.
In there, Bristol's one of those places.
I think more importantly, it's a big turnaround for Ricky Stenhouse, which at this time last year, he was basically already struggling.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't have any kind of clue what direction he was going.
In the middle of the storm last year.
That's exactly right.
What was the team up here, the Busch team? Charlie Henderson?
Yeah. Was that
75 cars?
Yeah.
75, yes. And Whitaker, where were they at?
Ed Whitaker.
Ed Whitaker. Yeah, Whitaker. That Harry
Gant drove for a lot.
7 car.
Yeah, 7 car. Harry Gant used to say he's going to run this, go run the Nationwide Series. Harry'd say, I'm going to go out there and teach them old high school boys how to do it. And then he'd come to Bristol and just run right along the rim and just kick your butt 6 ways from Sunday.
Joey Logano just a tick faster than Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's 9th.
Car, which is a big relief for him, and we'll continue to watch how this bumping process goes, because right now Dennis Setzer, we talked a moment ago about his qualifying effort, picked up really nicely on his second lap, or first lap, and winds up being 4th quickest, but he's on the bubble right now. So one more car trying to get in could be Jennifer Jo Cobb. She doesn't run quick enough. It'll lock Dennis Setzer in the race.
And we talked about a difficult situation for Jennifer Jo Cobb. She was supposed to go out second in qualifying. Her car wasn't there. It hadn't gotten through tech in time. So now she's on the racetrack, and it doesn't look good on her first lap, 32.5.
Really going to have to pick it up here. I'm sure her crew chief is in her ear telling her that she really needs to pick up. She's going to need at least a half a second to try to give herself a chance to get in this show. But when you get your car's not on pit road, when you try to get in a hurry as a driver and you get in and things are rushed up a little bit, it can definitely throw off your concentration.
And not having any more experience in what she does, but I'm impressed right now. She's making the most of the second lap. If she can hustle back to the start-finish line, she's definitely going to pick up.
Across the stride per second lap is faster than her first lap, 32.312. But
early morning practice session.
Here's Joey Logano in the 20 car, back in the Nationwide Series for the first time in a while. Talked to Joey after the first practice session this morning, and he said it was the most evil car he had ever driven. And this is the same car that he won at Kentucky and Chicagoland, fighting side. He said, I'm sideways on the straightaway with this 20 car.
Logano with 3 poles in this 2009 season. They came at Dover, Kentucky, and New Hampshire.
Gave up a little bit of speed off of turn 2. Steve got in really aggressively. You can see right there on the front nose of that car. Maybe one of the reasons why he's out of control. He's got the Beatles on the hood. It's been a hard day's night.
It's definitely been a hard day's night for a lot of these guys practicing these cars earlier this morning. I don't think Joey's going to be too excited about this qualifying run right now. 3rd quickest at a 32.28. And this is Joey's first Nationwide Series career start here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Get this, Joey Logano has posted top 5 finishes in 6 of his last 7 Nationwide Series starts.
Jeff, he looks like he maybe is going to be a little quicker on this
Just
second
a little
lap.
bit. If he can get off of turn 4 right here and back to the start-finish line, he is going to pick up a little bit of speed.
Boy, he got a great run off turn 4 back to the finish line, picks it up to a 32.11, so he picks up about a 10th and a half, just 6/100 slower than Trevor.
And it's even though you could kind of say the gamble didn't quite work out with that very heavy accident in Grand Am GT qualifying yesterday for Joey Logano, it's good to give him even more track time. He put in a superb performance in the Nationwide Series race here last year, racing up against Marcus Ambrose, who we haven't yet mentioned is not in the field this year to defend his 3 consecutive victories in the Nationwide Series. He is really despondent about that, very disappointed that a commercial arrangement couldn't come together to get the car on track. He will be in Montreal next weekend, however.
The thing is, that's one way to beat him. Don't get him sponsorship. Keep him on the sideline.
And you know what he said yesterday? There is no way after qualifying today for Cup I'm sticking around at this racetrack. I'm going fishing. I cannot watch someone else win this nationwide race.
I'm watching Jason Leffler right now. I'm not sure it's going to be quick enough to knock Carl Edwards off the top, but a great lap for Jason Leffler in this 38 car. He goes to second quickest at 1:12.
There's a huge difference between second and 32nd.
Yep.
Okay, you know, I mean, if you're second, your teammate's 14th, or you're second and you're in there. But these two cars were drastically different on the racetrack looking at them, too.
And what would concern me if I'm Elliott Sadler, guys, is the fact that you really can't do much to these cars. They're
this is an impound. This is impounded.
Yeah.
So, you know, they'll talk about, I'm sure, tank configurations and air pressure, and if they can make any adjustments as far as maybe some shocks on a pit stop. But, you know, a lot of work out there to be done on that 2 car. Because, again, he's up in the top 10 in points. He's running for the championship. And that's a major concern for Kevin Harvick and Delana as far as that organization is concerned. That's what it's all about.
Joy got in the corner going into turn 1. As he turned in the corner, the car broke loose, and he had to chase it up the racetrack a little bit. So his first lap, which is a slow lap, you know, for him, because he was one of the faster cars, he had to chase it up the racetrack, which knocks a good little bit off that time.
Joey has 2 poles here in the Nationwide Series and a win. In 5 starts, he has never finished worse than 6th, has never started worse than 7th.
As I said earlier, when you've got a new car, a new tire, I'm just wondering if we're going to see a changing of the guard here and an opportunity for somebody to basically, you know, unseat the Joe Gibbs onslaught we've seen here at Auto Club Speedway.
I think the Ford guys are poised for it this year, for whatever reason, whether it's the car, the tire, whatever. A lot of things, like you say, Jeff, I think they're poised to do that. Great second lap.
A great
recovery.
second lap, though.
Picks it up to 4th, 41.29, 174.34.
Much he should have a good chance of getting in the race.
Yep, Jerry. You see that car bottom out just a little bit down the back straightaway as he's working his tires in, trying to get some heat in them.
They got it on the ground, no question about that.
Definitely does. Thing is, right there, that is the favorite car for Steve Burns.
Boudreaux's butt paste.
That's it, Boudreaux's. We're going to try to get your brother lined up on something like that. You see tire smoke out that left front right there. He's got it down on the ground for sure, but he's got no choice. Keep on digging.
Can't bag out now. A little loose off
loose,
turn
lot
two.
loose, lot loose.
Into the wall.
How disappointing. Yep.
Trying to figure out exactly what it's going to do to the race car. And let's point out also, we've got like 19 guys that are like doing the double duty, like A.J. Allmendinger, who ran the Cup car or tried to run the Cup car yesterday. Guys like David Rudiman, for example, they've been on the racetrack this morning, so they have a little bit of an idea of what to expect with the win, so they can compensate for it. But guys like Curtis Davis, first guy on the racetrack, he's not too sure what the racetrack's all about, much less the win.
Larry, Jeff brings up an interesting point. This is not a car of tomorrow race for the Cup Series, so do those guys that have just had a Cup practice, do they have a distinct advantage?
Well, I think simply because of what Jeff pointed out. Certainly the cars are very different. Those cars are in race mode. These guys are trying to qualify. But I think the biggest thing is you have a feel for what the racetrack is like today versus like what it was yesterday when these Busch cars had their 2 practice sessions. I think that's the biggest advantage those guys have.
And that's a complaint, quite honestly, that we've heard all year, that those guys get more track time under the same conditions. So nothing new there.
It is what it is, so it's kind of like, right, you know, just deal with it and go on.
Curtis Davis' first lap, a 33.01. Now, I think we will pretty much see all of these guys take 2 laps. Most of them, as I walked through the garage area this morning, they've elected to go with sticker or brand new tires. So sometimes you get a little more grip on lap 2. So I think we'll see about everybody go ahead and get after that for that second lap.
And the other part of that is, Larry, a little bit harder tire, cooler conditions. You got to get some heat in these tires, so they should work a little bit better on that second time around.
He slowed down just a little bit, so Curtis's first lap will be his lap of record at a 33.007.
Just have to see how it works out, but proud to put in a good lap. Qualifying's by no means over with, and we'll just wait to count our chickens before they hatch.
Brad Keselowski had a good car in practice yesterday, guys.
Well, he'd like to make the numbers 25 races, 24 winners, because Harvick has won here, Kyle Busch has won here, but Brad Keselowski has not.
And Adam, we kept talking about the way this format is set up by NASCAR as far as qualifying. We've had 14 different drivers sitting on the pole so far here today. So, I mean, that's part of the excitement that kind of, I think, gives to this, you know, a necessary part of our program each and every week. It makes it exciting.
Joey Logano, 7th on lap 1, and he goes to 2nd on lap 2.
At Darlington, of what you have to do at this racetrack as far as pushing your equipment, but also being smart, Matt Kenseth comes to mind. This is his kind of racetrack.
It really is. Again, Matt is a very smart and very precise racer, and he usually just takes what the car will give, and he does respect the racetrack a lot.
When Matt Kenseth and his team are on their game, of all the drivers in the garage and teams, they remind me most of David Pearson and the Wood brothers.
You got it, Mike. That's a very good analogy, and it's kind of interesting to see him driving here the number 17.
Oh, yes. Number made famous by Holman Moody.
Yep. Pearson won a lot of championships and a lot of races driving that number 17 car.
And he's in. Yeah, and he's doing what a veteran you would think he'd do. Got a good solid lap in the first lap, get him in the show, try to pick it up a little bit on lap 2, get a little bit closer to the front.
So Kenseth is in, 17th on the first lap. And the bottom 2 remain, Carl Long and Brett Rowe, as Matt picks it up to the top 10, 8th fastest.
Very good lap and very smart. A clip in there and let it go.
Hermie, she kind of outed you there. We were talking about that during commercial break. You had not mentioned that on the air until Wendy mentioned it.
I critiqued some of Wendy's driving skills on a promo that you'll see later on this year on Speed. So I tried to go to the mirror and clip my own hair. Then I had to go to professional to get it finished. But let's get back to qualifying. What's really important?
She paid you back on the air. You did it during a commercial break.
She got me.
Kyle Kristeloff now on the racetrack. Actually, Kyle had to change a motor after the first practice, and so they had a little more limited time on the racetrack than everyone else.
I want to make a point, Phil. We saw Jeff Burton a few cars ago get the pole on lap number 2. In the Cup side, it's very rare to see a car make a faster lap in lap 2 when those cars are in the 100% qualifying trim. But in the Busch Series, for an impound race, sometimes in race trim, you put tape on it. Lap 1, you can be too free. Sometimes lap 2 will tighten up just enough so you can hold that gas down.
You get a little bit of air pressure in that right front tire, and then will help the handling on these cars, as we saw Jeff Burton run a little bit quicker on lap number 2.
This is lap 2 for Kyle Kristeloff as he went across the start-finish line.
Past champions provisional, so even though he had that very slow time, he is guaranteed of making the race, so he is locked in. You're looking at Angela Cope. She has already turned in 1 lap at 31.07. Puts her 3rd right now.
See a little bit of water pouring out of that overflow on this 00 car of Angela.
Come on, get everything you can.
Stay on it, stay on it. That spotter's talking to her. Try to keep her going. Don't give up. Gotta get some more speed out of this car.
Said she screwed up, Rusty. I wonder if she got to the corner a little too hot, missed her line.
Well, she's actually quicker. 30.99 moves her into the number 2 spot out of the 5.
Has been fighting about with it. Elliott, Hermie Sadler, their mom's in fighting, so certainly it's great to see that we're trying to raise the awareness of the things that's going on with breast cancer.
And I'm not so sure how this is going to go over in Talladega, but we're going to wear pink Crocs next week. Pink shoes to join the fray.
I think as long as my people understand, we may have to work at that part, making them understand why we're wearing them.
You sure they're going to let us, or actually stay in Alabama?
Just walked in there with them and didn't explain it. I'm not sure.
Hey,
all right.
I did get an email this morning from someone who lives in Alabama.
Yes.
The guys are welcome to Alabama, but to tell Larry McReynolds to leave that dead rat he had on his head at home.
You mean Davy Crockett?
Yeah.
I was trying to ask the man a serious question.
Oh.
but you couldn't hold a straight face either.
It was tough.
But you were asking a very serious question with that dead animal on your head.
Yes, I was.
Well, guys,
it's a
right now,
show at times.
Get seriously back to here because Kyle Busch, who was the fastest in practice yesterday, completed his first lap, and he's only 9th quickest. The car did not look like it was down in the racetrack. But, guys, let's take a look at what Larry had on his head.
Well, y'all make fun of my hair or my lack of. It's like, okay, make fun of this then.
Well, it was easy. If it makes you feel any better, it was easy.
See, I'm getting serious right now.
I actually like that better than the kangaroo that Marcus Ambrose gave you.
I couldn't even ask the question with the kangaroo. Kyle Busch, though, he picks it up on lap.
Under that, so I won't be surprised to see if our pole's a little bit over 180.
Yeah, and I saw Carl Edwards right there. He got down there, even though the Elliott Sadler's car wasn't going very fast, any kind of air that you could get to help pick up a little momentum, and you could see Carl was utilizing all of that.
Yeah, they'll try anything. That's really just the get up to speed lap, so it's really not going to affect the time lap, but that can help that momentum as you make these 2 laps.
Carl's never sat on pole here in the Nationwide Series. 5th right now after lap number 1. He's also never won this race. He's finished 2nd twice.
Okay, that's 0.2 of a second faster than the fastest first lap we've seen, which was Michael Annett. 50.52. Michael Annett's first lap was a 50.7. So this might be a new pole sitter.
Lap tracker, he is 2 100ths, now 3 to the good. Down that back straightaway, and remember, here's the guy who is coming off a hot end to the season last year. Coming through 4, and he is still tracking 6 100ths to the good. Now 7. We may be seeing our new pole sitter. Here he comes across the line. The 60 of Carl Edwards takes over the #1 spot with a 50.07 second run.
50.07. That's P1 right now.
There's your tracker, Hermie. Bottom of the screen.
Yep, we're going to watch it. 181 has been the highest number we've seen miles per hour at the start-finish line coming to get the green flag to start a lap. Let's see what Joey Logano is able to pull off.
Joey did run here in August a year ago, started 3rd, finished 6th. Didn't make his Nationwide Series debut until Dover when he turned 18 years old.
181 again. We've seen that number. That seems to be the 3rd car that we've tracked that seems to be kind of where you need to be to have a shot to get to pole. And so far, so good, Jeff Hammond, if he doesn't lose it off turn 2.
If you don't lose it off turn 2, but he was the fastest number I've seen going off into turn 1 so far, almost 189 miles an hour. So a lot quicker than a lot of teams getting off into 1, but did it hurt him on the exit of 2?
He's got his crew chief, Dave Rogers, back. Rogers back from an 11-race suspension.
Big jump right there off of turn 4, but I think he gave maybe up too much speed off of turn 2 to really make us a qualifying pole run, but it's going to be good enough to be 3rd quickest at a 40.65.
Let's go to Bob.
P3, babe. P3, good job.
Trying to get into the top 35 in owner points in Nextel Cup, the 22 car for Bill Davis Racing. And of course, as we know, it's a bit more of a challenge. We run the car tomorrow like we did last week at Dover in Nextel Cup. So I think he decided to put more focus on his Nextel Cup effort and stay away from the Busch car for a few weeks.
Tony Stewart had quite a weekend here a year ago. He finished 4th in the Busch Series race and then coasted across the start-finish line on fumes to win the Cup race.
I listened to the radio the other day, one of the local DJs were talking about how Tony Stewart came to Kansas City last year and stole one from the competition. Guess what?
That's not what the record book
said. He won the race.
That's right.
Not how you did it, but he got it done. And Greg Zipadelli and his whole team did a great job right there making that call. And I don't think Tony's going to be overly happy with that qualifying effort right there. But, again, a lot like Kevin Harvick, he's 12th quickest right now on his first lap. I think, Larry, he's trying to find his way around here. He kind of tippy-toe and get back up there on that the tractor.
But I go back to his interview a while ago that he had pretty much with Bob down on pit road. He said he did not expect to have a great run because he knew the car was going to be very loose, but felt like it was going to be good in race trim when they pulled the tape off the nose. But I believe this is going to be a little better. 32.13, he bumps it up a 10th, which puts it up to 9th quickest.
And gets over down in turns 1 and 2, they will send the next car out. So that's eliminating a lot of
0 seconds on that first lap. 50.16. Is that correct on the second lap? I think we've got it there now.
What this number 6 Ford Fusion has, and hopefully we can get a good solid top 10 starting spot and go out to the race and hopefully finish somewhere up there.
Ricky did tell me he's got some butterflies going into qualifying. His first qualifying attempt here at Thunder Valley.
Bob, the pole sitter for Sunday's Food City 500. Joey Logano on the racetrack, very close to the wall, off of turn 2.
Got to pick up a little over a tenth if he wants to sit on the pole and unseat Brad Keselowski.
P2. Got close. 15:41.
Good job, man. Almost got him.
To Brad Keselowski's 15:40.
It's tight.
That's 100.
Stellar weekend so far for Joey Logano on pole for the Sprint Cup Series race tomorrow. Currently front row for today's race. You had a long talk with your teammate Kyle Busch, the comparison between your car and his car on your qualifying runs.
Yeah, his car did exactly opposite what my car did, which is pretty funny. I woke up this morning thinking the track was going to be pretty free. It's cooler out than what we practiced yesterday, and every time I've ever qualified here, I've been loose. So I think maybe me telling Kevin that might maybe tighten it up too much, or I think it all kind of threw us for a loop. This tire is a lot different than what we usually had here. So still a good run for the GameStop Toyota. Just missed it by a little bit and just shoved the nose a little bit too much on the first lap. Second lap was faster, which I don't think that's typical.
Top 10 finishes and 7 of his last 8 Nationwide Series starts.
You can see turns 1 and 2, Jeff. Joey was
awfully not into the throttle like we've seen other guys today. You've seen him come almost totally out of it in 3 and 4. So it's going to be a decent lap, but it's not going to be a pole run.
You know, guys, we talked about all the unknowns at the top of this broadcast with the rain. They hadn't been on the track since Thursday. But, Jeff, I think you're right in that these drivers that have gone out early are going to give the other guys confidence. They know there's grip in the track. They're going to go for it.
They should, but again, you know, you have to use a little bit of, I think, common sense. I'm going to go back to what we said in our opening statement. You don't need to hang this car on the wall trying to sit on the pole. The pole does not pay anything. Yeah, you'd like to have that first position as far as pits are concerned, but reckon your race car as Joey.
Getting up to speed, 19-year-old Joey Gase. Back for another go at Daytona, ran here in February for the first time. Remember your first time at Daytona when you buckled in?
Yeah, I actually do. It was whenever they started the Busch Series, now the Nationwide Series here in 1982. I was actually, my brother let me start his car here, so I wasn't quite ready with my own team, and it was overwhelming to say the least. I mean, I'd never seen anything this big, and obviously the speeds that you go here at Daytona, it was very intimidating.
Now you will see the standard restrictor plate racing pattern of qualifying, where they'll run the first lap all the way at the top of the racetrack, gathering all the momentum they can, and then hug that yellow line on the second lap around.
Well, they're holding the throttle wide open. They're just trying to get as much momentum as possible. That's why they use that upper lane, just to try to make the track as long as possible. Give them as much time to get to terminal velocity as they can, and then they come down to the bottom and shorten the track up as much as possible. They can actually go below the yellow line qualifying. There's no penalty. I don't think you find any speed there.
No. They normally have these tapered spacers on these cars at other tracks. They have that plus a restrictor plate here, so doing everything they can to get the RPMs up and maximum horsepower.
Big difference between the Nationwide Series car and the Sprint Cup car at Daytona, that big rear spoiler. These cars punch a big hole in the draft, and you will see some great passing in the race later on tonight. In fact, 30.
Allgaier third in points right now with 1 win this season. It's been a pretty good year. Summarize the ups and downs of 2011.
I don't think there are any words that can describe the ups and downs. We've had the up, obvious Chicago, winning my home track and Brandt's home track, and then leading the race at Road America, run out of gas. So we've had some pretty crazy stuff happen this year. But all in all, it's been a great year. I'm glad this is the last one. I'm ready to get the points reset. You know, it's been a tough last half of the season. So we're
Dave Blaney, teammate to Terry Cook for MSRP Motorsports, the Humphreys and Parsons entry. Still the time to beat, 28-21. Where that green line is John West Townley. Blaney being a little tentative on lap 1, perhaps.
He ran a 28-11 in practice, so we know the speed is there. And Dave's a good qualifier too, Mike.
Yeah, he was 6th fastest in practice of this group. The first lap, not too sporty, 33rd, but look at the big jump up. And he managed to save most of that coming off turn 2. And away it goes down the backstretch.
It's going to be close. He's right on top of where he needs to be. Needs another good exit off turn 4 back to the line.
Good mid-corner speed. It's going to be close. Yes, Blaney, 20.
Green flag, Morgan Shepherd. This is a retro paint scheme Morgan's got on that car from when he won the championship quite a few years ago. He has a red with the yellow numbers on it, and he's got a picture of the car actually on the deck lid of the car that he won the championship with. Also see the Salvation Army on the hood.
Morgan's raced here a total of 14 times in the Nationwide Series. He's finished 5th 3 times. Morgan, the seasoned veteran is what I think we all should call him. He is the oldest in the field at 69 years old. 118 of his 288 nationwide starts came after turning 60 years old. Morgan's time, 51.27 seconds. So the 1980.
What out? Wow.
All right, while he's coming around.
I mean, watching somebody go out there and run my race car like that sideways. Like, oh, no, I got to fix this thing. You ever want to know what a motivation is for a crew chief to work on his race car? Stand on top of the truck and watch the driver go off in the corner, cock it sideways. Bring that thing back in here. I think we need to work on it a little bit.
Joey Logano in the 20 car.
He had a good run off turn 4 to get the green flag. If he can keep it going, he's
flying down the back straightaway.
Made his Nationwide Series debut here 1 year ago, did he not? Finally got the age limit behind him. He was 18 years old.
He is smoking the field, Burn.
Man. Yes, he is. He is. Wow. Our tracker is dead on that number 1. Yes, sir. And he has got it. 23.08.
You don't hear no tires crying.
Nope.
Dead in the gas, right around the bottom of the racetrack. He is making it happen. He and David Rogers got this car hooked up.
Good job, man.
Cobb still outside that field with still 6 cars remaining. On track right now, Patrick Sheltra. Sheltra ran back here at Daytona in the July race of '09, started 27th in that one. 2010 ARCA champion with 2 wins, 17 top 10s, and 20 starts in that series. He's going to have to pick it up here.
As long as this baby will keep running, he should be able to do that.
That sounds pretty simple, but all it takes is just a little too much tape to get on that, and you actually start
hugging the line through 4.
Boy, these cars look good, don't they?
Oh, yeah, man, that is such a good-looking car right there.
Coming to the stripe, Patrick Sheltra. He does lock himself in, 50.87 seconds. So it's still Brett Rowe and Jennifer Jo Cobb.
What they ended with yesterday, and they're having to make adjustments for that second lap.
Joey Logano out on track right now. The 20 car leads the Nationwide Series owner points by 13 over his team car, the 18 that Kyle normally drives.
It's interesting, Marty. They weren't really planning to come here.
No, they weren't. They got the sponsorship at the last minute. Friends of the Loganos who own that business, Harvest Investments, came on board. Joey's here. In fact, Carl was sort of disappointed when we talked to him yesterday. He said, hey, you told me you weren't coming.
We're supposed to be here.
We're supposed to come.
Look who's here.
And look at this time. Down the backstretch, he's in the negative, which means that is bad news for Trevor Bing.
He can make it through 3 and 4. As he comes up off of 4 here in the corner, no bobbles. Up against the wall, he is hammering at that.
Well, it's a smooth-looking lap.
And here we've got a new pole, 30.39 seconds, and
JGR has won the pole 4 of the last 6 Nashville races.
Just flat on the bottom as he goes through that corner, Ricky, over there between 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was not just a little bit. That was considerably better. Considerably better than being more than a tenth faster. Has me intrigued as to what Kyle Busch might be able to do.
It's going to be interesting.
Coming down for the second lap.
P1 on lap 1. Good job. I'll talk to you when you get in here.
They lost exactly a tenth of a second.
And take a look at the track temps. You know, we all
was the 1992 Series champion.
Ryan Blaney in the 36. We talked to him a little bit earlier. You can see that his numbers about a half a second off right now as Ryan comes across the straight.
Be his first start tonight at Charlotte, guys. We saw him earlier this year at Richmond and Darlington, a couple places, do a pretty good job. Had a tough time at Darlington, but a real good time at Richmond. So coming here to another fast racetrack, and we'll see how he does tonight.
Well, he's had 9 nationwide starts so far. 5 of those have been top 10 finishes. In his last start at Dover, he finished 13th, and that's his worst finish in his last 5 starts.
Well, I tell you, he's really picked it up in his second lap, guys. He's just a lot better than he was that first lap. Saw them
Logano coming off a big win in Tennessee last week.
This ought to tell us a little something about where the racetrack is, Mike. He was P2 in practice, and you know he's got a lot of momentum and confidence coming off that win at Nashville last week.
Time to beat 27:50, Greg Biffle. Got a good middle and not quite as good an exit off turn 2 as Biffle did.
Good thing they don't have out of bounds here,
yeah,
like they do at Daytona and Talladega, because these guys use all of this racetrack, including the apron, to get these cars to turn. But a good corner there, Mike.
A great one, and where are we? We're P1 for Logano, 27:36 on the pole. Remember, he won a Camping World Series race here.
P1 with a 36. Don't overdrive it.
2 years ago.
Good words right there by the crew chief. Don't overdrive it. He's been watching speed as well, telling him a lot of guys are making a mistake on lap 2. And he's going to just about run the same speed on lap 2 as he did on lap 1, looks like.
Within a 1/100th of a second. So
we're down to the final 6 cars, including one who could win the pole.
Yeah, this one's going to be hard to pick out tonight. I'm used to seeing that green car.
Yeah. She's run where she thinks she's going to run. It's going to be up front. It won't be any problem picking it out. Running the red, white, and blue paint scheme in celebration of the weekend in support of the NASCAR Unites project that is supporting military families this year, families of those who've served. And you're right, Dale, Danica has spoken, needing that help and that push to get to the start-finish line.
She's going to be up front.
Right there in the middle of 3 and 4, just lost that little bit of time.
Good enough job, second.
It's hard to get that dash for cash money.
Something fun to follow within the race.
It is.
And we look forward to seeing that later on today. Here's Timmy Hill.
It's another car. It's all rolled over. Andy, look at that.
It's carrying the left front tire.
You can see distinct difference between a lot of these cars, Alan. They're the ones that are really faster. That nose is laying right on the ground. And some of these guys are really having a struggle understanding those chassis. What they.
Joey Logano in the GameStop Toyota right now looks like he is on a flyer. He's looking for his 5th pole of the season.
He is flying right now, Mike.
It's going to be about a 10th and a half better than Brad Keselowski, down to 31:07. So Joey Logano's the fastest.
And it's only his 2nd trip here in a Nationwide car. He ran the race last year, finished 6th.
You know, he's on a string of 14 consecutive top 10 finishes in the Nationwide Series. He doesn't run the full schedule. The only finish outside the top 10 was back in the spring at Bristol when he got spun out on the last lap going through turn 3 and 4. Picks it up a little
quicker.
bit. Yeah.
Well,
Picks
how about
it
that? That ain't supposed to work that way, boys. He got a fast hot rod there.
Behind Carl Edwards, and the 5th car on the track belongs to Joey Logano. He has got a total of 9 Nationwide Series poles in his hip pocket, including 2 this year. He started on the front row in 3 of his 5 races.
This is another guy did not do a qualifying attempt during practice, so we really don't know what he's got. He looked good in his practice sessions out there. Ended up 5th quick in the practice sessions this morning, but like I say, never did block this baby up, we call it, Andy, and see how quick it really was.
Yeah, he's going to flirt with getting right below that 29-second barrier.
And
really
he is
close,
up on pole.
29.08. That's a good first lap. We'll see if he takes a second. We've only seen one car take a second lap, and he actually ran faster. That was McDowell. Ran just a little faster on his second lap. We'll see what Joey can do here.
And we probably should point out why we are seeing this, because guys that took 2 laps in the mock runs were actually slower on that second lap.
Yeah, usually the second lap's a little bit slower, especially with this brand new tire. But some guys mess up the first lap, and they continue on for the second lap and try to save it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Second lap, a little bit slower.
29.08 on the first one, 29.
Bottom of the racetrack making it work through 3 and pole.
You can see the difference in the lap track of those laps. Kyle Busch right through the middle of the corner, picks up a lot of speed, but doesn't have quite the momentum that Biffle had off the corner, but fast enough to knock him off the pole.
He's going to play 2 also. I'm kind of surprised at that. I'd been a crew chief, I'd have said that was good enough. Greg Biffle didn't even get his... Now he said, yeah, that's not working. Biffle didn't even get his helmet off and got knocked off the pole.
He's up Joey Logano, and there you see him in the GameStop number 20 Toyota. Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Kyle Busch currently on the pole. And you know, JGR has won the pole the last 4 races here at Dover.
This car looks real good through that.
Man, that was fast right there.
Little wiggle coming out of the corner, but still holding true.
Just off a little of Kyle Busch's speed. Loses a little bit getting into 3. Picks it back up back though.
This is going to be close. Comes across the line. He'll be second. 23.39 seconds by about 3/100ths.
Yeah, we saw Kyle Busch's teammate pick up on the second lap. Like he has a little, maybe even a little better lap going here. Yes, sir. Look at that.
Close. So far, so good for him. It looks like he may get it. And yes, Joey Logano takes over the top spot. 23.33.
All right, man. Good job.
Because he knew how much to extend his equipment, how hard to run, when to run. And it was always like when he finally figured out what you had, then he knew how much to push his equipment. And I just always felt like, you know, if I had to say I wanted to be like somebody driving a race car as good as Richard Petty was, I really would like to have been like David Pearson, because he was so smooth. And for every race that he would show up, you had to always consider him a potential winner. He didn't run a lot of seasons, you know, but when he did, he won championships. One of the best drivers ever come down the pipe.
Absolutely. The 3 Wallaces are all together on the grid. Family affair in 12th through 14th. Mike, Steven, and Kenny in that order. There's Brad Keselowski in the Navy Chevrolet, 7th in the point standings, and in the last 8 races has only 1 finish outside the top 15.
Mike, he had a pretty good lap going. He also got a little bit loose in 3 and 4.
Oh, there he is again. Yep. Can't quite keep it off the wall, guys. He's trying all he can, but he is back and forth, back and forth. I think he's just going to have some cosmetic damage, but he did clip that right front fender pretty hard that